One day, having an opinion stopped being a right and became a privilege. The networks didn't silence screams, they silenced doubts. And the worst part wasn't the censorship, it was that many applauded it. Everything changed the day opinion started needing permission. The networks, which were once showcases of freedom, began to dictate the limits of thought, not with laws or warnings, but with a friendly tone.
Esta es Rook. This post violates our community guidelines.
It seemed like a minor detail, a simple correction, but each notification was another break in the wall of silence. The digital environment of the year 2020 was saturated with opinions. Each person was a medium, each wall a newspaper. First came the filters, then the alerts, and later the automatic judgments. Words stopped being free. They were analyzed, classified, and archived, and the system began to dictate what was acceptable. On January 7, 2021, Facebook and Instagram suspended the account of then President Donald J. Trump. The next day, Twitter did the same. The notifications did not say censorship. They said,
Information not verified by independent fact-checkers. This content has been rated as partially false by external fact-checkers.
Taking complete ownership of the absolute truth. Clean phrases without emotion, designed to appear neutral. But behind that neutrality, the most powerful decision of the digital age was hidden: to silence the one who had been elected to lead the country. Within days, thousands of accounts began to disappear. Some were public figures, others were ordinary citizens, and the effect was immediate. People began to fear, not for what they said, but how they said it. Each word became a possible sentence. The algorithms learned to identify intentions, emotions, ironies. Each update reduced the margin of expression. Each adjustment made the discourse more docile, and those who insisted on having different opinions were labeled extremists, intolerant, racists, creators of misinformation, imposentoses. It was not visible censorship. It was cultural reprogramming. Soon they not only silenced those who spoke, but also those who listened. Anyone who shared, liked, or commented on something outside the line was considered suspicious. Algorithms did not forget, and society learned to distrust those who doubted. The punishment was no longer deleting an account. It was destroying a reputation. Meanwhile, traditional media repeated the same tune. The networks are protecting the truth, and the platforms celebrated their role as guardians of verified information, but no one asked to verify the verifiers. The years passed, and the line between protection and control blurred. What began as prevention turned into authority, and silence became the norm. In August of the year 2024, a fissure shook the facade. Pasintus asientos en alas eseatos ase. Mark Zuckerberg, CEO of Meta, sent a letter to the chairman of the House Judiciary Committee, Jim Jordan, in which he admitted that in the year 2021, officials from the Biden administration, including the White House, pressured for months to censor certain content. They called it institutional collaboration. But the correct term was government interference in content moderation. For the first time, censorship had an official document. A few months later, in September of the year 2025, Google acknowledged the same. YouTube had blocked thousands of videos and shut down entire channels at the request of the same officials under the same administration. Those affected had been labeled as risky, misleading, or socially dangerous. It wasn't paranoia, it was protocol. During those 4 years, thousands of creators, journalists, and citizens were digitally erased. Some reinvented themselves with new accounts on new platforms that promised not to censor anyone. Each post was a test of survival. Each word, a calculated risk. Censorship no longer needed labels. It had settled into the consciousness. People stopped sharing thoughts and started sharing safe phrases. They stopped debating and began accepting. And they did it with pride, believing that being prudent was being correct. Social networks rewarded obedience. Those who spoke within the margin received disability, approval, contracts. Those who crossed it disappeared. Fear was no longer imposed, it was learned. The news called it digital responsibility. The platforms called it an inclusive environment. And the government celebrated it as civil cooperation to combat misinformation. But behind those bright names, an entire generation was forgetting what it meant to speak without permission. In homes, conversations were shortened. In schools, debates were replaced by behavior rubrics. In the offices, prudence became a virtue, and on social media, silence became a trend. No one wanted to be the next warning. Your account has been temporarily restricted for sharing content that could mislead. In the year 2036, a sociologist wrote, "Free thought did not disappear. It was archived under review. No one published his text. It was classified as unverified information. Irony became an epitaph. Over the years, fear became a habit. No one forbade speaking anymore. Simply, no one dared. And when everyone learned to repeat the same thing, lies and prudence became confused. Thus began the era of censorship, not as a punishment, but as a choice, not as a dictatorship, but as a calm. And the most terrifying thing of all is that it was accepted with relief.